Although it is funny that you mentioned subscriber because we do have a new subscriber on YouTube.
Like just now?
Very exciting.
As of 28 minutes ago.
That's my mom. I told her what I was saying.
Your mom's name is Kevin?
Listen, it's Swedish. And it's a family name, all right?
Pop Bears beats Battlestar.
Stay on target.
You can't handle the truth.
Stay on target.
It's over 9,000! What, 9,000?
With great power comes great responsibility. There's only one God, man, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm
Welcome
Connor.
to the show.
I'm Jake.
Oh,
I'm Jordan Summers, and in every single universe, I'm still unmarried. And you're still hung up on the fact that I like girls in this world?
Nice.
Just a shock value every week. It's just amazing.
So good.
Well, welcome to Pop Culture Redemption. Again, a podcast just hoping to help the church have a better vision about God's presence and work in pop culture. And Jordan every week tries to break the show right off the bat. And you were at least semi-successful this week. All right, as we dive in today, just some housekeeping things as we start the pod. One, always follow the show on Instagram and Facebook.
At PopCR Pod.
Yep, or Pop Culture Redemption. We're on YouTube as well. You can find us there. You're probably listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever.
Audible. We have a couple people on Audible.
We do.
Yeah.
It's true. And we have one person that listens on Google Podcasts
Google Podcasts is a thing.
for a little while, and then it's going to go away in like 3 months. I just looked into that today. I was like, oh, that's going to go away pretty soon. But it's going to morph into YouTube. But we won't talk any more about that. As well, we have a goal in the month of January that we've been talking about the last couple podcasts. Is we are trying to sell 10 shirts in the month of January. And as of recording today, what is today? Today's Friday, the 19th of January. Over halfway through January, we've sold 4 shirts.
Dude, we're almost halfway there.
We're almost halfway there. So if you're interested in helping us get there, you can click the link in the show notes or on our social media platforms or in the YouTube notes or wherever. And you can go and help us do that. Because one, we're trying to, again, help kind of rep the brand, but two is we get a portion of each one of those sales. And we're looking to figure out how do we grow the show? How can we reinvest those things back into the show? So if you're looking to help us grow the show, if you believe in the mission of this podcast and you find a lot of value in this podcast, please consider getting a t-shirt and helping us. That'd be
Or
awesome.
if you're not really the t-shirt type, as you can tell if you're watching, there are also other forms of merch. We've got t-shirts. We have youth t-shirts if you need, but we also have hoodies and crew necks.
Merchy merch.
And they're really comfortable.
That's right. I just got this one today, actually. Came in the mail today.
How is it?
It's good.
Good fit?
It's nice.
Nice.
Fits good. Fits well. Fits good.
Would you recommend it to others?
I mean, yeah. I'm not unbiased at all. Today, we are diving into the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, and we get to welcome our third ever guest of the show, Zach Fleming.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the show, Zach.
Thank you. It's, man, it's good to be here.
Yeah.
It was really hard to be quiet for that entire intro until right now.
You did a great job.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. It's this thing I'm trying. Patience.
So again, we're looking at everything, everywhere, all at once.
You could probably say them in any order because it's all at
everywhere,
once.
all at once. I was trying to figure out maybe there's an acronym I can use to get that out of
AOA or OAO.
but EEAAO.
EOAO.
Anyways, so right now this movie is available to watch on Amazon Prime for free. So if you have a Prime account, you can
Highly
go on
suggest.
there and watch it. It is rated R. So for those of you kids, just keep that in mind.
My bad.
Definitely not rated PG-13.
What movie do you want to watch, Zach? Hey, let's do this rated R movie. Sorry.
Hey,
thanks for having me on the podcast, boys.
when you're doing a podcast about pop culture, you gotta be ready and willing to wade into those waters. So
Just got to keep your head
It
above
was
the
either
water.
this or Passion of the Christ, so I chose this one.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just
I had-
gotta keep your
I
head
hadn't
above
seen
the
it.
water.
I hadn't seen it until we watched it for this, and it was really good. So it was released in March of 2022. It brought in a box office of $140 million, which was only 34th in 2022.
I was gonna say I hadn't actually heard of this movie.
Yeah. So
Because you don't know pop culture.
that's right.
I know.
'Cause,
I don't know why Connor bothered asking. Like, hey,
Yeah.
since you know nothing about pop culture, you should do a pop culture podcast with me.
You know, you're just my muse, Jacob.
I'm so glad I can inspire you into
you.
culturing me.
Even though you've beat me in every
Trivia game ever.
It's just not right. But the reason why this, well, there's a couple reasons why this is such a pop culturally relevant movie for us to talk about is because it's so good, one, and two is because it won 9 Academy Awards. So this thing
Dang.
hit it out of the park in the awards department. Again, 9 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, and Best Costume Design.
Oh, I didn't
Dude,
have
yeah,
the
the
co- I didn't
costume
have the
design was
costume,
insane.
and I didn't have the score. That was what I was missing on my list.
It was those
I
two.
feel like I didn't even get to notice this. Like I usually have something to say about the soundtrack, but I had not. Like I couldn't even notice it because I was too busy
There was
trying to keep up
so much going on.
all
Yeah.
at once.
Everything all at once. Yep. Everywhere. The cast included Michelle Yeoh, who played Evelyn, Ki Hui Kwan, who played Waymond, and he also played Ouroboros in
Loki,
Loki
season 2.
Season 2. Yep.
So good.
When he was younger,
you
he
call him
was
Dr.
also
Jones.
in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom and Goonies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I didn't remember he was
Goonies.
in Goonies.
Yeah, Data, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah.
You call him Dr. Jones.
Yep. Stephanie Hsu played Joy / Jobu Tupaki.
Yep. Oh, she
Jamie
did
Lee
so
Curtis. Is this Deidre? Was that her name? Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Deidre.
Deidre.
Deirdre.
Well, yeah,
Deirdre? Deidre.
Deidre.
No,
Yeah, something
you're
like
not going to pick up on the psych reference here. Deidre.
that. I
No.
don't know.
I've
Sorry.
heard it both ways.
I've heard it both ways.
Is when they go to England. It's fine.
Sorry.
I'll remind you later.
James. I just clicked the button and went out of that window.
Hong.
Here we go. James Hong plays Gong Gong. I don't remember who that is.
Cantonese for
the grandpa.
grandfather. Gong Gong is actually Cantonese for grandfather.
Yeah.
According
And
to
he's
my
in other
notes.
he's in other stuff too.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember what he
Lethal Weapon 4, I believe. That's my deep cut on where I think I saw
Nice.
him before.
I don't think
No, I
that's
know
where I
I've
was
seen
going,
him
but-
somewhere else, but I definitely haven't seen
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 4.
And then Jenny Slate was also in this, and she was the dog girl, Debbie the dog girl.
From Parks and Rec. If you're trying to remember where you've seen her.
Mon-
Don't
Mona
be
Lisa.
suspicious.
Yeah.
Money, please.
Money, please.
Yes, that person. All right, so we're diving into Rejoice, Reject, Redeem. So first we're starting with Rejoice. What was good about this movie?
Dude, the world building was or I guess worlds building
Universes building.
was so good.
Yeah.
Like I felt immediate, like just they did a phenomenal job of like just shoving you straight into it, but making sure that you still are keeping up. Like I just thought it was phenomenal. Also, I thought it was really refreshing to see a movie where the main character isn't like the young, beautiful, like 20, 30 somethings. It was good. It was refreshing.
Yeah. Jordan, got anything you want to rejoice?
Yeah. The phrase, "You are not unlovable. There is always something to love." That is a celebration of the image of God and a celebration we can affirm.
Yeah.
That's all.
You better preach.
Yeah.
How about you, Zach?
Yeah, so when you invited me on to this movie was sort of like, hey, what about this movie? And so for me coming in, there was like, I just love this. Like, I think this will be something really fun to discuss. But if I had to like pick something, man, I think even at the very beginning, like they were so intentional. Like, and the more times you watch it, you're going to pick up on different stuff. So like for me this time, like even the credits at the beginning, you saw the logo changed for the production company, like you were seeing a production company in multiple universes or multiple times. Like it was like, I'm like, oh, everything is done with intention. And like you said, the world building
It was phenomenal.
is so good.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. I think it was similar. We had talked about we've reviewed a couple different movies, mostly the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movies before this, where it has the multiple universe thing, and we made the comment about how well done it was in those situations compared to something like Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah,
Multiverse of Madness, whereas they didn't really have fun with it in Doctor Strange, whereas they had a lot of fun with it and they didn't over-explain it in Spider-Verse. It was kind of just there. And I thought that this movie was like right on par with that, where they did a whole lot of creative things that they were just like, nope, we don't have to explain this.
What if they have hot dogs for fingers?
Right. They explain
Made
that
me
a little
so
bit,
uncomfortable.
but right.
Okay, from Lance, because the first time I saw this with Lance, and I asked him, "Hey, is there anything you want to mention about the podcast?" He's like, "Just say from me, the hot dog universe made me feel weird."
I don't know. Can I just like affirm that?
Yep.
I don't know that there's anyone that didn't feel weird when they were putting their fingers in each other's mouths. And you're like, what is... And then it's set up that at some point in our evolutionary process, somebody with hot dog fingers took out the person with opposable thumbs, and that's how we ended up here. What?
Well, and then they like shoot mustard and ketchup out of their fingers. It's like, what?
So here's the deal, folks. If you haven't seen the movie,
Skip
I
those
promise that that's not the only part of the movie.
That's not the most inappropriate part of the movie.
No, it's
No.
They did not get the R rating for the hot dog scenes. I promise.
There was, to get back a little bit on topic, there was like a two-liner that Wayman said that I feel like is worth rejoicing in. He said, I know you're fighting because you're angry and confused. One, that was like the one, like these were back to back. And the other one was be kind, especially if we don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like just those two back to back, I feel like is something that, everybody needs to hear.
Yep.
Give someone grace. They may not know what's going on.
Yep. I think that was my rejoice, is the ultimate message of the only thing he says, the only thing I do know is that we have to be kind, especially when we don't know what's going on. And I thought, I was like, I wrote down, looking at you, church, right?
Yeah.
How we handle differences, how we handle theological differences, how we handle generational differences, how we handle
Cultural differences.
political discourse with people, right, who differ from us.
That's not a thing, right?
Yeah,
now.
it's not a thing at all.
It's completely different than the world is today.
Yeah, and it's like and be generous and kind with the assumptions that we make about people that we don't know, or even people that we do know, right? What kind of assumptions? So that I thought that resonating theme, or that was like the turning point in the movie, the climax of the movie, right, was to this call to be kind when we don't know what's going on, and it just brought me back again to Romans 2:4. Just says that you're not realizing that God's kindness is intended to lead you to repentance. So, and again, like fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. It's in there.
Would you say could we think of this maybe as the bagel of the Spirit?
There you go. The everything bagel of the Spirit.
Okay, I almost died when I saw that moment.
Jordan, I'm going to give you the opportunity to unpack that. If you're going to say it, what in the world do you mean? Because no, I don't think you can, because I have no idea how you're going to get there.
Okay, here we are.
It's not the fruit of the Spirit, it's the bagel.
Yeah. Well, okay, so the everything bagel, it has everything on it, right? Like
Correct.
it's all of it.
Yes.
And we think oftentimes in church we think of the fruit of the Spirit as the fruits of the Spirit, and it's not the fruits. It's one Spirit, it's one fruit. So it's the everything bagel. It's everything all in one bagel. Everything all in one Spirit.
Yeah, but
I wanted to mention with the one thing that was really funny about the bagel thing was when he's going off on, and like, okay, so Waymond is going off on this whole spiel about being kind, and then he's really winning Evelyn over. And in the middle of that whole thing, Joy is like, "Hey, Evelyn, bagel." I just crack up because it's just so like, "Hey,
Bagel.
it's just so."
You know what? I'm
funny.
gonna start doing that too now. Like whenever you're not paying attention to something, I'm just be like, Jordan, bagel, sublime.
Bagel, 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 bagel.
You wanted to.
All right, we're moving on to reject. What's not so good about this movie, or what this movie pushes as what they say is good, but we're like, is it good?
I would reject that throughout the course of the movie, you see what I would say nihilism preached, right? The nothingness, that nothing matters. There's even this line in the movie, and I don't know who says it, but I wrote it down as I was watching it. And the line is, if nothing matters, then you don't have to feel guilty about making nothing of your life. And I was like, that right there, that we don't live like that's true. And it's impossible to live like that's true. So you can't live within this worldview successfully. And what I loved is you saw the combating of this worldview was hope. Like, so that this daughter is embracing this nihilistic worldview, and you see hope being the thing that brings her out. This isn't a way that you can live. You can't sustain this kind of life.
Don't take my redeem moment.
Don't take my redeem. Oh, no, don't
sorry.
take my. I'm sorry. Don't take my.
I was
reject.
sorry. I was still. I apologize. I don't know the
you're
rules,
good.
God damn
bros.
you.
No,
There are
you're
no
fine.
rules, dude. We don't.
I think along with that too, I think it
Nothing
was
matters.
interesting how that's because her name is Joy,
Yeah.
and how
yeah,
that's juxtaposed against
Yeah.
what she is actually experiencing through a majority of this movie until the end.
I didn't actually think about that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of symbolism.
So it's I affirm that too. I agree.
Yeah. My thing was, and I know that this is just, it's because there's the multiverse, right? And so there's every single choice you make can like the opposite choice has been made and all that stuff. But like, we can't try to put our blame in the decisions we've already made. So the like, well, what would have happened if Evelyn didn't get married and all those other things? Like, as soon as, if my choices are to move left or right, and I choose to go left, and then left doesn't go my way, then my entire like life is ruled by shame and regret over the fact that I didn't turn right.
Yeah.
When we completely focus our entire lives on the choices we should have made, we get ruled by shame. That's no way to live.
Is it time for Jordan's song recommendation of the week?
Yes, it is.
This one is Iron Maiden. Wasted Years by Iron Maiden. The chorus goes, so understand, don't waste your time basically reliving those golden years. Oh man, Face Up. Oh, I can't believe I don't remember it. So understand, don't waste your time always
How about,
searching for.
so understand, don't waste your time always searching for those wasted years.
Yeah.
Face up, make your stand, realize you're living in the golden years. Yeah, it's that exact thing. Like, when you focus on the choices that you should have made, you completely miss out on everything that happened since that moment. You know, let's say in this thing, I turn left or I turn right, and I turn left and it doesn't go my way at first. And then things end up getting better. I'm not going to notice it because I'm going to spend the entire time going, man, I should have just turned right. Yeah.
Or even spending time, what would have happened if I had turned right?
Yes.
Not necessarily regret, but living with your eyes on a rear view mirror sort of
Yeah.
thing. Or what would have happened if I had done that? Or what would have happened?
Where's
if
the gratitude in that lifestyle?
Yeah.
There's no gratitude. There's no reason to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that similar mindset plays into like the FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're going, I don't want to make the wrong choice
Oh, I'll
about
get to FOMO.
this thing or that thing or this thing or that thing. And
By the way, did you notice towards the beginning of the film when they're having their first run-in with Jamie Lee Curtis's character, and she's looking at the receipts, and he apologizes, and he's like, "My wife mistakes her hobbies for careers," and all of the hobbies listed were the different choice paths. Like it was like,
Oh, snap.
like all the things that they list were. Later, it was foreshadowing for later on in the movie when
Karaoke?
you saw all of these different things that she could have. I was like, again, multiple viewings.
Was there a martial arts thing in the receipts?
I don't remember if that was one of
Was
them.
there a hot dog fingers thing in the receipts?
There was a cooking thing for sure, and there was the karaoke thing.
yeah,
That's interesting.
Because he was like, sing something.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not singing something. Yeah.
Can we also talk about the amazing scene where Wayman just leveled dudes with a fanny pack?
we've already moved on from the
I'm sorry.
rejoice.
You're right. That just brought up that scene to me, and that
It's
was
excellent.
such an amazing moment.
It's excellent. Yes.
And then he sheaths it by putting it back on his belt. So good.
My reject is similar to Zach's in the just rejecting the nihilism and the belief that everything is meaningless. And I think the movie ultimately resolves that a little bit, but I don't think it does so completely because it kind of paints the redemption of that belief, or how to get out of that belief is to have like your family members,
Love.
kind of right, but it's like our families aren't perfect, and some of our families' situations are extremely broken. All of our family situations are broken to some certain extent, but some are extremely broken, and you could walk away from this movie feeling really hopeless if you're in that place of kind of like leaning into nihilism, leaning into everything is meaningless. What's the point? What's the purpose? That kind of stuff. So you could walk away from this still feeling hopeless because it's unlikely your family is going to like offer you the love and support that ultimately this family comes to have for each other. And so just reminding us and trying to remember that ultimately it's the love and forgiveness of Jesus will absolutely pull us out of that hopelessness and nihilism, and it's perfect.
You can't get through nihilism with more nihilism, and that's what you tend to see in the movie is don't worry about any of that. You can't defeat nihilism with more nihilism.
Right.
You can't start caring by not caring.
Right.
Which is my biggest thing with like all nihilistic, because the premise is nothing matters, therefore everything has whatever value you give it. But you've essentially given your own value nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And is it C.S. Lewis that said or wrote, I guess, if Jesus didn't raise from the dead, nothing matters.
I'm pretty sure it's also the words of Paul.
And if
Say
Jesus,
Paul said
did he say that?
Yeah, it was
My
Paul,
bad.
not definitely not
everything
C.S.
matters.
Lewis.
Well, maybe
I'm
he's
sure that-
referencing it.
yeah.
I think it's also Iron
some
Maiden
reason.
lyrics. If I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure that this is in a song. Jordan?
That sounds like Queen. Nothing really matters.
Nothing really matters.
My reject was the same thing as Zach's.
Of course it was.
I wrote, nothing matters. Not true. Actually, the opposite is true. Everything matters. Not everything is good. Not everything is right. Not everything has the same level of importance or priority, but everything matters. It matters because God is with us, because it is His creation and His creation matters.
You better preach.
Absolutely.
Preach.
Preach it.
There we go.
Preach, dude. If
Okay.
we're good to move on, since that like perfectly ties, I've got a whole thing with the redeem part.
Based on this?
Yeah,
Go for it.
like
As long
just
as you
to
do that
piggyback.
hand motion the whole time.
Yes,
Yes.
Just right there.
like I've got a whole thing. I need to
take bear
I've
claws,
got
two
a
at a
whole
time.
trip. I need to like go on the plane so I can land the plane. It might be a long flight, so I don't know if there's going to be an in-flight meal, or maybe this at least we're just Southwest and you'll get your bag of peanuts or crackers or something.
I think it's
But-
pretzels.
Pretzels, yes, but I do got a whole thing. So am I good? Am I good to go?
I'll be over here
'Cause-
nibbling on my Biscoff. Go for it.
Cool.
We're going to pause 10 seconds for station identification. This podcast brought to you by this transition music that's happening right now. All right, redeem us, man. Take it away, Jacob.
Okay, so to go off your whole thing, right? Everything matters. So this movie reminded me of one crucial truth. Convenience and love tend to be incompatible. So what was Jobu Tupaki or Joy's whole issue, right? Is that she kept getting trapped in the multiverse, had to keep looking for the next thing, the next universe, the next and so she just saw how every choice can be unmade, right? And it just drove her insane. So to her, what's the point of everything? Why shouldn't it? Why should it matter? Because she can keep looking and looking and looking and looking and looking and never find the end. She can take a punch and turn it into a handshake. She can take a bullet and turn it to a googly eye. I mean, she didn't do it, but like it made her lose track of everything and life lost all meaning. Which maybe we can't relate to something that extreme, but how about this? I can change my brakes by watching a YouTube video and call myself a mechanic. I can prove that global warming is real or fake by a Google search and call myself an expert. I can also post a video of myself meditating and get like 1 million likes and call myself a spiritual guru. I can also just keep scrolling and keep scrolling and keep scrolling. Because if I define myself by the information I can find and the convenience given to me by my smartphone, then my identity doesn't mean anything anymore. But if we follow Evelyn's example and not define ourselves by what could have been, and instead define ourselves by who we love and who loved us, mainly by who loved us first and made us as God, then all the information and the convenience in the world doesn't matter anymore. I feel like our generation, at least, not going to speak for the old man in the room, but our generation and younger tends to be like, the younger they get, the more depressed and anxious and lonely they get. And it's because we have the access to everything. It's not because people don't have the ability to connect to each other. It's that there's everything, everywhere, all at once, that we don't know what to pay attention to. And like, here's the thing. So normally when somebody in a movie says we can do whatever we want, it really rubs me a wrong way. Like, it bothers me because it sells it like it's the story of whatever we want is going to be what's best for us. So keep looking, keep scrolling, whatever. But in this movie, I loved the moment when Evelyn tells her daughter, we can do whatever we want. Because what happened next? They chose to live in the mundane and normal universe. They chose. So it was the fact that yes, we can do everything. Kind of like the words of Paul. You say, I'm allowed to do anything, but not everything is good for you. And even though I'm allowed to do anything, I must not become a slave to anything. They chose. It's whatever we choose to give our freedom to. Because we think that whenever we just do whatever we want, whenever we want, it's how we find absolute freedom. But it's not. It's where we lose the most control over who we become. And since it's been a couple episodes since I brought him up, and he just published a new book, I wanted to read something out from John Mark Comer's new book, Practicing the Way, that I read in 2 days this week. Because his whole point on this is basically just this: spiritual formation. It happens. You don't really have a choice. It just happens. You're forming into something. And he gave like a couple examples, and I wanted to read them because it slapped me in the face really hard. And hopefully it'll open up some other people's eyes just as it did mine. So he said this. He said, all of us have a source that we're rooted in. A kind of default setting that we return to, an emotional home. It's where our minds go to when we're not busy with tasks. It's where our feelings go when we need solace, where our bodies go when we have free time, and where our money goes when we pay the bills. We will make a home somewhere. The question is where, and it matters because whatever we abide in will determine the fruit of our lives, for good or ill. And here's his examples. If we are rooted in the infinite scroll of social media, it will form us, likely into people who are angry, anxious, arrogant, simplistic, and distracted. If we're rooted in the endless queues of our streaming platforms of choice, it will form us too, likely into people who are lustful, restless, bored, never present to what is. And I'll skip the next one, but he says, but if we are rooted in the inner life of God, that will form us too. It will slowly grow the fruit of the Spirit in our life: love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. So when I read that, I asked myself hopefully the same question a lot of people would. What do I want to become? If we all have a home, if we have the ability to go to, in this case, every universe we want, which one do we want to stay in? Because at the very end, that's all that, like the Lord is offering us the same thing that Evelyn asked, like, of the daughter. Like, basically, we can do whatever we want. God is saying, I can do all things. Just choose to stay here with me. I'm doing his book in my small group.
Let me try to connect
Go for it.
your thing and Jordan's thing. And this has been a soapbox that I find myself on time and time again the last few years. We have a tendency to focus on the fruits of the Spirit rather than the command to abide.
Woo.
We tend to say, how do I become more loving, joyful, peaceful, patient, kind? Rather than acknowledging that fruit is an outcome. It's not what you aim at, it's what's produced. So if I aim at abiding in Christ, as I think Comer is talking about in this quote, the result, the outcome of that abiding will be naturally that I am more loving. So he's saying what you fill your mind with is either it's going to produce angst and anger and lust and all the other things, or if I'm intentionally abiding in Christ, then what Paul says, the outcome of that is I'm going to become more loving, more joyful, more peaceful, more patient.
No, the thing that blew my mind was earlier in the book, he brought up a point that historically, somewhere around World War II, the gospel started being preached in a way where you could become a Christian without being a disciple of Jesus. That becoming an apprentice or a disciple to Jesus was like the extra thing you can do. But nowhere in the gospel does it say that you don't have to apprentice to Jesus and still go to heaven. So
I would tell JMC that you could argue that started when way before World War II.
Yeah.
I think that's been a longer sort of problem.
Yeah.
Probably as far back as his research went. He's probably not listening to this episode. If you are,
sorry, Johnny.
If you want to bear fruit,
Johnny,
you got to remain in the vine.
We appreciate you. We appreciate. We're trying not to hurry, and we're trying to ruthlessly eliminate it. So we appreciate you.
Jordan, you got something?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. I was hoping you would see something I didn't, that you would convince me that there was another way. That was Joy.
Yeah.
Speaking to her mother when they're both rock people. Rock thing.
That was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, that was a great scene, wasn't it? Okay, but
well, she didn't exactly say it.
Well, we read it.
That scene was the prodigal son, but continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it was the prodigal stone.
The stone son? I don't know. I was hoping.
That analogy rocked.
All right, I'm going to be a little bolder and move on with my redeem.
Thank you.
I was hoping you would see something I didn't, that you would convince me that there was another way. This is a message our culture screams. Not everybody is dead set in what they believe. Even the most adamant in their ideals may truly want to believe there is something deeper, truer, and more beautiful. And the good news is, there is. His name is Jesus. He defeated sin and death, and now reigns as King of everything, everywhere, all at once. Jesus Christ is Lord of all, nothing stands against him, and it is from his own scars that we affirm that we are loved by him, infinitely, unconditionally, and eternally.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's right.
Thank you for the plug to the movie. That helped connect it for me. That brought it home.
Would you say that we should build our lives on Jesus, the rock?
On Christ the solid rock I stand.
All other ground is sinking sand.
We could go on this all night.
Is sinking sand.
Be cooler if Jesus had googly eyes.
Do you have any proof that he didn't?
No, I do not. That is fair.
Maybe that's what he was drawing in the sand, like with the promiscuous woman that's brought out.
He's just drawing a smiley face.
Googly eyes.
That is my favorite thought.
He's just drawing a smiley face.
Yeah.
No, my favorite thought is how people think that he was writing out the 10 Commandments when they were like, "Look at this woman, she needs to be stoned," and he's like writing out the rules, like, "Hey, which one did you break?"
I'll go because I'm gonna let Zach put the exclamation point on it.
I don't know that there's many exclamation points left, but I'll try.
We're just seeing.
I'm not gonna make
you have
something up.
anything left.
I'll give you the final word.
Oh, come on, Pastor Zach.
Yeah.
But preach. You can when I think Wayman says this, alternate Wayman says, you can either come with me. This is right after
Alpha
he does
Wayman?
when he does the right after he battles everybody with the fanny
The
pack.
epic scene with the fanny
pack martial arts.
That's right.
So good.
Yes. You can either come with me
Fanny
and
pack
live up
foo.
to your ultimate potential, or you can lie here and deal with the consequences. And she's like, I'm just going to lie here. And he's like, no, come here. I think that this is Jesus' invitation to people. You can either come with me and live up to your ultimate potential, or you can lie here and just deal with the consequences. Because again, Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, only way to the Father. Jesus offers us things like true freedom, right? Jesus offers healing, restoration, forgiveness, reconciliation. In Christ, we can do all things through him who strengthens us, right? When we, again, to go back to what Zach talked about, when we abide in him, that all these things are things that are offered to us, not that we are in relationship with him to get those things, but that is a part of our fullest living, our fullest potential, our fullest life is in Christ. And again, that's the invitation to each one of us from our Savior. And I think oftentimes we can easily be like how Evelyn responds in that moment where she's like, "Nah, I'm just going to lay here." Because we're afraid.
Relatable.
We're afraid, or we're uncertain, or we don't feel worthy, or we don't think we can live up to what what's being asked of us in that moment. And so just to, in those situations, to take that leap of faith, to trust that Jesus is the one that provides, and that we are, when we're in Christ, we are filled with the power and the presence of the Holy Spirit as well. That enables us to live in the ways that he's calling us to. So I just thought that was really cool. When he said that, I was like, oh, that's awesome. And then her response immediately was like, no. Or when they're in the janitor closet and he was like telling her all these things, he's like, no, I'm too busy. Come back later.
That's kind of like the scene from Barbie when Weird Barbie's like, do you want to know the secrets of the universe or do you want to stay?
I want to stay.
I want to stay.
She's like, no.
No, you don't want this one. This one was not an option.
That's right. So that's it.
Pastor Zach, bring us home.
You ready to bring us home?
You know what? I'll do my best. That quote from him stood out to me as well. And for me, when I heard it, I heard John 10:10. I heard, I've come that you may have life and have it to the full. But before that, you have the thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. And a lot of times we view the enemy's attack as these like really brutal sorts of like steal, kill. Those are all really, but I think that our enemy is craftier than that. And so his attack can look like, no, I want to stay. Like, no, I don't want this life to the full that you're offering. Nah, I'm good. For me, so I would say that my redeeming moment, like the big thing for me actually came in something that I want to reject. And that there was this quote in the movie, and I didn't write down who said it, but for me, it was this thing that stood out. I'm like, no. One of the characters, and maybe one of you can help me, talks about the issue of what is right. And they said, right is a tiny box invented by those who are afraid.
It's joy.
Was
Yeah,
that joy?
That was joy.
And for me, I was like, no. I mean, that's nihilism in a nutshell, but like that's not true. Like we don't have to be afraid of what's good and what's true. And I think that for me was the big takeaway from this, because at the end of the day, again, you have nihilism combating nihilism. And so the movie, while you could leave the theater feeling hopeful, it's a fake hope. It's an empty hope that's not going to sustain it all. And you're only going to find something that's sustainable in Jesus, who says, no, I am the truth. Like, if you want truth, it's me. There is something that's right, and you don't have to be afraid of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think that people find? What do we find that's when we're afraid of the truth, or when we're afraid of taking that step into what is right, or even like seeking?
I think it's because oftentimes it's the same reason why a lot of people are afraid to look in a mirror. We have to recognize our own flaws.
Ugly? Oh.
Well, yeah, because they have to address the bad and the ugly in their lives. Yeah, kind of. You get to tell me that I don't like that I should look in the mirr in the morning and be like, man, I like this
just
extra chunk on the
just
side.
Trying
like,
to
that
cut
just makes
the tension,
me feel hopeful.
bro. I agree with you. Yes, I think what we're afraid of is that we don't like being told that there, and we don't like being told there's something wrong with us, and I think that's like you see that in this movie. Like,
we don't like being
Joy.
told
There's
that we're
something
not
wrong
in
with you.
control.
No, there is. Like listen. Like you are created and loved and valued, but no, there's parts of you that are broken and need to be healed and restored. And I mean, we see that in culture. You see that in pop culture. I think the hardest part of following Jesus as lordship is acknowledging that there's somebody that I have to submit to that's not me.
Yeah, well, like look at like you're saying, the majority of pop culture. It's only God can judge me. You have to take me at like all of it and act like it's all perfectly fine, or you're rejecting everything about me.
Right.
Like you're saying, when we accept the lordship of Jesus, it's like, yeah, I am messed up, but I'm still good.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a quote from Richard Foster where he was talking about how there's so many paradoxes in the Christian faith. To receive life, you must give it. Like all of the to live, you must die. To receive, you must give. Like this doesn't make sense. And he made the point of saying that a lot of the time, the Christian faith is not picking a side, but living in the tension in between. So it's not we all suck, and it's not we're all fine. It's living in between of knowing, yeah, I'm broken, but I am still made in God's image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me too that it's that lordship issue too. It's the I want to be
We're the people.
I want to be in control of my life sometimes, or probably most of the time, and it's that like continuous surrender to Jesus, of saying no, Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, the truth, right? I don't hold the truth in and of myself, but it is in Christ.
Sure.
And it's something that is out that I'm seeking after.
Yeah. Do you realize how terrifying it must be to like put your own worth, your own value in someone else's hands? Even if those hands are saying like, I want to give you back something good, it's terrifying to like, well, okay, here's everything. That's bad. That's terrifying. I mean, it's not bad. It's good, but it probably often feels like you're having to take a step off a cliff.
It's a risk.
Yeah.
It's a leap of faith.
Yeah.
It's a rock rolling off the side of a canyon.
With
We're
the
back to
big
the
rock
rock
following
references.
With
it.
the big rock saying, no!
With the Google eyes.
While the rock was still a long way off, the other rock rolled toward
When did we get on Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
we...
I'm glad they had rock and roll in this movie.
Right. It was rock and roll.
Yeah.
All right.
Sylvester Stallone wasn't even in it. That was Rocky. Is what I was doing there. Okay.
Good. It
Need
was
to
great.
make sure that wasn't lost
Yeah, no.
because I was proud of it.
It was great.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm not going to lie, I didn't
Also-
get it until you said Rocky.
Also, Sean Connery was not. It's The Rock. Never mind. There's another.
Oh, no,
movie.
I've seen that movie.
Sean Connery.
Sean Connery.
I've seen The Rock.
The Hunt for
It wasn't filmed in LA
The
though.
Rock.
It was in Alcatraz.
Oh.
Winners date the prom queen. That's the only line I know from that movie.
Do you know who Sean Connery is? Jacob, do you know who Sean Connery is?
Yes, I know who
Okay,
Sean
good.
Connery
I'll
is.
play your game. You.
I've
rogue.
seen Temple of Doom.
I thought that's okay.
That's
Ten-
great,
not
but he's in the Last Crusade, so I'm
Crusade.
glad you've seen.
I was like, what?
Crap.
I'd like to see your pop culture credentials to
That's
even
a-
beyond this podcast.
That's why I asked, because
10 winning uncultured swine games.
I mean, 10 is generous, but at least 5.
Sean Connery was also in Mortal Kombat.
no, he
That
wasn't.
doesn't surprise me.
No.
Yeah.
That is fake news.
No, it's not.
What part did Sean Connery play? I don't even know that I can say that sentence. Sean Connery was not in Mortal Kombat.
Yes, he was.
What part did he play?
Raiden.
No, he was not Raiden. That was Christopher Lambert. I'm about,
you know who Sean
I'm
Connery
about
is?
to own you.
Hold on.
I just want to show for the fans at home, there is
He
no
turned down.
IMDb.
In front of you.
Tell
He
me-
passed up the role of Raiden in 1995
And
to
Raiden was
film
played
to
by
play more
whom?
golf.
Who played Raiden in the 1995 hit Mortal Kombat?
Oh,
Kevin
no,
Michael
Sean Connery was
Richardson.
offered the role but turned it down.
To play golf. That's what it says. He turned
That's
the
what
role down
I was-
of
I
the Mortal
was-
Kombat film
Hey,
to
can
play
you
more
edit
golf.
out the part where I had the wrong actor, but I was right I was right that it wasn't Sean Connery. You sure it wasn't Christopher Lambert? Well, I don't have Wi-Fi, and I keep trying to check to see.
No. Christopher Lambert did.
Oh,
Nailed it.
We're doing really great here. Hey, while we're transitioning into the end of our podcast, I just got word that we have our 5th t-shirt order.
subscriber. Oh.
During the recording?
Subscriber. You are never getting it. Actually, no, it's not even just a shirt. It's a hoodie. Matt Skillen, you are a legend.
Oh, we were just with Matt. What a nice guy.
Wow, look at that. During the pod.
I told him that like
That's why we were
5
late,
minutes.
because
Yeah, because
Jake
I
was
was
selling
chatting
merch.
up our podcast.
That's what
So
was
you
going
can never be
on.
mad at me for being late to a podcast
Jake,
again.
that's
amazing.
number 4.
Dang it.
But hey, you could be number 5.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
you can jump on in there.
Although it is funny that you mentioned subscriber because we do have a new subscriber on YouTube.
Like just now?
very
As of
exciting.
28 minutes ago.
That's my mom. I told her what I was doing.
Your mom's name is Kevin.
Listen, it's Swedish, and it's a family name. All right.
My father's name was Mary. His father's name was Mary.
The father before him. What was the
Steve.
Steve or something. It was something else.
Is that a Dwight line?
No, it's psych. Mary.
Psych.
Oh,
We quote
My father was named Mary.
we quote psych.
You
a lot
still
on
didn't
this.
get my psych reference from
I,
earlier.
I
Deidre?
know what it is. Do the job.
Do the job, Gus.
Do the job, Gus. Yeah. Yes. Please do the job.
Please do the job.
And we just lost half our audience. Sorry about that. Thanks for listening today. Thanks, Zach, for coming on the pod.
oh, it's fun.
This is great.
Have me back. This was fun. I would do this again.
I want to have you back on Faux Show.
Faux show.
So, what's your next episode? What are you guys talking about next time?
D&D.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Honor Among Thieves.
On a Christian podcast.
Right?
I will pray for you.
That one's only
You lost-
PG-13.
You just lost all of your home.
I mean, you're the one. You're the one that
just
just had us watch an R-rated movie.
R for redeemed.
That's right. R for really good.
Yeah.
It was a really
R for
I mean,
righteous and
I watched
okay
this
with
risen
movie.
Christ.
I watched this movie 2 days ago and I'm still processing it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like I'm which doesn't happen a ton when we watch some of
it's
these
kind of
movies.
like
Usually-
watching Tenet. You have to watch it more than once.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know, D&D stands for Deuteronomy and Deuteronomy.
so
I like that you couldn't. There's no other D book. So you're like, I'm just gonna double down. Like that. That's brilliant. I will say that their original invitation was for me to watch Flash, and I'm like, or
Justice League.
or not a DC movie. We could do that.
Shazam.
and we're so appreciative
Yeah,
that
you're
we
welcome.
could do that.
You're
So thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you for having us watch an R-rated movie.
Yeah, I got you.
So again, follow, subscribe, like, rate, review, comment, all the verbs.
Buy our merch.
I list most of them.
Purchase. You forgot purchase.
We got YouTube, we got Facebook, we got Instagram. Check us out on wherever,
We have comfy t-shirts.
however, why ever you get your podcast. That'd be really helpful.
Buy a merch.
Zynga.
Buy merch.
Oh.
Wear it. Take a selfie. Send it to us.
Ooh, they are on MySpace. You should friend
We are
them.
not on MySpace.
Speak for
Does
yourself.
MySpace even exist anymore?
Actually,
I
yes.
We
I've been
have
over here listing old things for a while now. I said GeoCities before.
Yeah.
We're gonna
that
list
one.
old
I
space,
know what that
old
was.
things. I should just say Zach
cool.
Fleming.
That's cool. They have a Hotmail address that you can email them at.
Connor does.
Actually, I do.
I don't have Hotmail, I have Yahoo.
it's not much better.
Yahoo. So, anyways, thanks for listening today.
Hold on.
Oh.
Let's bring up like I love this idea. If you do purchase our shirt, you
Or
should
an-
take a picture and post it on social media and tag us in it at PopCR Pod.
Hashtag Jake sucks.
I like that one.
Do we really have to have him on another episode?
maybe like in a few
Months, years.
years. We'll see what happens.
When you guys make it famous, when I have to go to a studio.
Yeah, that's right. Instead
That's
of my
not
yeah.
Connor's dining
dining
room
room
or Jordan's garage.
/ studio. Call it a studio.
Garudio.
Garudio. All right. Hey,
Stodge.
let's end this podcast.
Storage, yeah.
You do the sign off.
Okay. Thank you for watching. And remember, God is still working, even in pop culture.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.